Okay, just when I thought everything had settled down in the horror world after seeing The Howling and I stopped baying at the moon, Avco Embassy comes along with another picture. This one would appear to be an offshoot from the Omen school. It's called Fear No Evil. It marks the feature film debut of 26-year-old Frank LaLoggia, whom you're going to meet later tonight here on the show. Fear No Evil is a classic example of good versus evil in a supernatural religious framework. Three archangels reborn as human beings track down the incarnation of Lucifer, who has also assumed human guise as a high school student to spread his evil across the earth. Now, this Avco Embassy release is going to open Friday, April 24th at Bay Area Theaters.
You were 54 seconds late, kid. 50 sit-ups and 50 push-ups. Go to it! All right, you guys, let's break into teams. Let's move! All right, move!
About Fear No Evil next week after I've seen the picture. Tonight's movie is The Witchmaker, produced by Alvy Moore and L.Q. Jones, and they went on to better things. And when I say better things, well, you'll know what I mean after you've seen tonight's movie. They later produced A Boy and His Dog, a very classic science fiction film, and a very good satanic film called The Brotherhood of Satan. I think they were sort of learning the ground rules when they made The Witchmaker, because they certainly improved later on. The writer and director of tonight's film is William O. Brown. I haven't heard too much about him lately, but I do know that he wrote a very popular book on how to produce low-budget motion pictures, which was a bestseller a few years ago. I think the book's out of print now. At least I haven't heard anything recently about it. The story is about a cult of witches and warlocks in the Louisiana swamps. After the last couple of movies, we're sort of sliding again. I'll have to work on that. Well, tonight we have the director of Fear No Evil. You're going to meet Death, as played by actor Randall King, in a new play called Gallows Humor. And you're going to meet two animators from the Disney studios who are going to give us some tips about how animation is done, and also something about The Fox and the Hound, which is coming out this summer. Once again, I have produced a super lineup. Unfortunately, Channel 2 didn't give me a movie to really warrant all these wonderful guests tonight. And frankly, fans, if you're fed up with this, and you can't take it anymore, simply write to the station manager here at Channel 2 and say, come on, guys, give Stanley some good movies, will you?
A biblical epic. It is the greatest story ever told. Sunday at 5 on Channel 2. There's only one 2.
And it came to pass just the other night that an archangel from a celestial haven called Avco Embassy did visit me here in the dungeon and bequeathed unto me this poster of the new horror film, Fear No Evil. The story of how three archangels come to earth in human form to stalk and destroy Lucifer the Evil One, who is posing as a high school student to spread terror across the land. It's a controversial film, being attacked by some for being anti-religious, but it's being praised by others because it's different from other current horror films. And now I would like you to meet the 26-year-old artist who is making his feature film debut with Fear No Evil, a man who co-composed the music, who wrote, produced, and directed the one-man army known as Frank LaLoggia. Frank, we've been intimidated recently by a lot of exploitation films from Hollywood. How does yours differ from those films?
Well, John, I think that our film, first of all, is a supernatural film. It's a mythical film. It's a fantasy. It's once removed from the everyday realities of killers on the loose, maniacs on the loose, stalking women with knives and that kind of thing. Our film is a fun film, I think. It's not in the Halloween mold or the maniac mold. It's not that type of film at all.
Mm-hmm. The film does make some religious comments. Are you a religious person yourself? Are you trying to make a personal statement, or was this just a means to an end for you, to make a feature film and get it distributed in the commercial marketplace?
Well, not especially a means to an end. I kind of felt that the Bible, and I feel that the Bible is a wonderful myth indeed. So I decided that there were some aspects of Revelations, some of the things that were happening in Revelations that could very much lend themselves to some very fine, intriguing storytelling in a fantastic sense. Mm-hmm. I was born and raised a Roman Catholic. I pretty much bucked the dogma early on. Mm-hmm. But no, I don't go to church on Sundays, that sort of thing. I believe in all-powerful force, if you will, guiding light, influence beyond this. But no, I just thought that the subject matter itself was something that intrigued me. The idea of pitting three archangels born in human form against an earthly manifestation of Lucifer.
You have a very spectacular climax that involves some animation and other kinds of special effects involving these archangels.
Right.
And that was done by some people who worked on the Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back.
Peter Curran. Peter Curran handled our roto animation, and all of that work was handled by him, and he was responsible for much of the roto animation in the Star Wars films, in Star Wars and Empire.
Frank, we're living in the heyday of the independent producer. They're making more films in the studios all put together. How do you maintain your integrity and still deal with a distributor these days?
Well, it's not especially a question, John, of maintaining your integrity. It's a matter of finding out how to get these two elements to gel. How to get the aesthetic to gel as far as you're concerned as an artist, and how to make the commercial elements come into play as well and get those to blend appropriately so that you don't disappoint yourself and you don't disappoint the marketing people that have to sell the picture. And the only way to do that, I think, is practice. I think that as far as this picture is concerned, to a certain degree, I've managed to achieve both, but I hope to get better at it as the years progress, as I continue to make films.
One of the unusual things about Fear No Evil is its location. You did some filming in the islands of the St. Lawrence River.
Right.
And there's a castle you found there. Tell us about that.
Oh, phenomenal place. It's a big old Rhineland castle. I mean, your dungeon, well, let's say
only to it. Huh?
Second only, you're right, by comparison. But it's called the Bolt Castle, and it's sitting up there on an island all by itself. It's an old Gothic Rhineland castle. It was never completed. It's the perfect setting for a film like this, perfect setting for a horror movie. Gives you the chills.
Listen, a lot of the creature feature fans out there are would-be filmmakers, and occasionally when a young director such as yourself passes through, I always like to ask if you have any particular advice or word of wisdom to those would-be filmmakers.
Well, as I'm sure you know, this picture was produced independently. In other words, we did it outside of the Hollywood mainstream. Avco Embassy only purchased the picture once it was in the rough cut stage. And my advice would be to try to do it on your own if you can. You can raise your money independently, find private investors, that sort of thing.
It's a ghost, don't worry about it.
Right, you can. And the devil's influence, perhaps, the set is falling
they're
down.
moving in on that's Archangel. You need to protect
Anyway,
them.
my advice would be stay out of the Hollywood mainstream. Try to pull some money together on your own and see if perhaps you can get it together outside of the Hollywood mainstream, and then bring it in, move in in that respect.
Are you planning to do more films, Frank? I assume you are.
I hope so, yeah. Providing all goes well. I have a couple of other things
Just
in
keep
mind.
those archangels close at hand.
I certainly will.
And angels, the investing kind.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, I just want to remind you, fans, Fear No Evil opens next Friday, April 23rd at theaters throughout the Bay Area. It's been called one of the most unusual horror films of 1981.